We got.
Strawberry shortcake. Melanie Martinez.
I love strawberry
I
shortcake.
love strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, I don't love it as much as you do. You love strawberry shortcake.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what she got.
This just stinks.
The headphones stink.
Feeling unsure of my naked body. Stand back, watch it taking shape. Wondering why I don't look like Barbie. They say boys like girls with a tiny waist.
I'm telling you, her topics, they're just so spot on. They're so relevant to what's going on. Like right away, you know exactly what she's talking about. She's talking about like societal standards of how beauty should look like. And that's amplified through things like social media and magazines and advertising. And it's very common for especially a teenage girl to look at her body and dissect it and look for things wrong with it just because she's comparing herself to like unrealistic expectations of like these models, these celebrities that get tons of plastic surgery. They're taking photos with professional photographers that know how to manipulate lighting and use very like sophisticated methods to make someone look perfect when
Yeah.
even in reality they're not perfect, right? So
Yeah,
like
it's actually insane like how good makeup can make someone. Like there was this one makeup artist, she did like a phenomenal job making herself look like Drake. Like it was actually really fucking crazy. So like for her face to look like Drake, like it really makes you think about like, oh my gosh, like makeup is like a very powerful tool.
oh yeah.
Both negative and positive. But yeah, to your point, even before social media, she touches on Barbie. Like before, like the existence of the internet, like Barbie was like this ideal, like figurine that people looked up to, and it actually brought up like a lot of racial things too, because there weren't dolls that looked Asian, or I believe in that time period they didn't have like a black doll either. So
That's right.
like, all this controversy about, the idea of beauty, like it only existed in this one standard.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you need that if you're someone that works in a cosmetic company that are trying to manipulate the mass population and thinking, hey, you want to look this beautiful, buy this product and you can look just like this and feel better about yourself. So it's all like manipulation. And you're right, like they've been doing that for years, right? Like even like the first films that come out, like you right away you have your Marilyn Monroes, and obviously they get idolized, they get so much attention. And although yeah, they're great actors, a lot of why they get so much attention is the way they look. That's a big portion of it.
Yeah, and if you think about like, and I don't want to dive too close, but I mean dive deep into this conversation, but you think about like all the advertisement in a lot of Asian countries, for instance, like I've noticed that on the billboards, they only use models that are very light skinned. And so I think about like when I went to Thailand, when I went to China, a lot of these models were not people that you saw like on the streets. Like when you go to Thailand, a lot of people are tan because it's Thailand. But a lot of like the actors and models, like they're very light skinned. So it's this idea that like the lighter your skin, the more beautiful, which is why in the makeup industry or cosmetic industry, like whitening creams are so like popular in the Asian culture. It's like, it's crazy to
And
think about.
it's unfortunate because things like that, they continue to exist because it's all in our shared imagination, right? Like it's the same thing as money. Like if we all just stop believing in something, it's not real anymore because it's not beauty's not a real thing, just like culture. It's not real. It's just an imagination we have in our head of how things should be, and these beliefs like kind of manifest itself in external shit like makeup and cosmetic and spandex pants. Like all this shit is a result of like what we believe to be beautiful, which obviously changes based on your culture, right? You could live in a fucking tribe, their idea of beauty is something completely different, right? Like,
well, I think it also derives in the animal kingdom, because you think about like in the animal kingdom, what's beautiful are these like colorful looking males, right? Like these birds with all these like crazy colors. And so I think a lot of it is derived from animals too.
that's true. Yeah, the flamboyance definitely comes from the peacocks, right? Like they're really good.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this topic. It's definitely something that I would have related to as a young teenager.
Yeah, Melanie Martinez is just really good with the way she articulates these topics in her music.
They say boys like girls with a tiny waist. Now my mama's preaching to make sure I'm pure, but I never really cared about this shit before. Look around the room to whoever wants me. Got boys acting like they ain't seen skin before. Got sent home to change cause my skirt is too short. It's my fault, cause I put icing on top. Now the boys want a taste of the strawberry shortcake. That's my bad, no one's holding on to grab. Now the boys want a taste of the strawberry shortcake. Gotta make sure that my legs are shiny. Hot wax melting, burn my skin. People all around me watching closely, cause it's how I look and not what I think. Nikes I seem to be glued to her chest, so I'm stuffing my bra so that mine look the best. It's my fault, cause I put icing on top. Now the boys want a taste of the strawberry shortcake. That's my bad, no one's holding on to grab. Now the boys want a taste of the strawberry shortcake. Instead of making me feel bad for the body I got.
And what I like about this is like this is feminism in the most creative outlet that you can imagine.
Yeah, I would have never paired like strawberry shortcake to bodies.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because like I start to think about what she was saying in her song, and a lot of like a good reason why I think women get sucked into this idea of beauty also is because they want affection from men, right? And this is what men chase. If men all of a sudden loved women with like these hairy armpits and like hair all over their legs, the idea of beauty would change. Like I feel like women would just completely stop shaving. Like, oh my God, these men, they really love hairy legs. Just grow our hair out. You know, you see this feminist movement where like people are like literally not shaving their armpits anymore.
Yeah.
And I think where that goes wrong is that like to some guys, like that's going to be a little, I want to use the right word. I mean, it's going to be a turn off, you know, and I can't speak for everybody, but it's just like, okay, it's a little too much, I think. So I think also obviously like men play a part in that. They play a big part in that. And I'm pretty sure they're probably the ones like at the top of these cosmetic companies also that sell these products.
Yeah. I was going to say like there was a point, I'm sure, in history where like having hairy armpits in both men and women was normal. And then one day, you know, the industry thought about, okay, now we need to have bare armpits, and that's considered being a lady.
That's true. It's only recently where we came into contact with the hairless vagina, right? Like that's a recent, yeah, like back then.
What do you mean recent?
Like recent in terms of like our lifetime.
Like,
if you're looking at porn from 30, 40 years ago, all the vaginas had hair on it.
I think
all of them.
It makes me think about what was that? Wolf of Wall Street, when he's talking to his father.
Right.
And he's like, all of them shaved now.
Yeah.
It's like, no shit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just an indication of like where our culture's going.
Yeah.
You know, now like to have like a hairy vagina, it's no longer the norm, right? If you watch any porn video, chances are 90% of the time that's just gonna be hairless or very little hairs to be trimmed, as opposed to what you watched 40, 50 years ago. Like, damn, there's like a lot of hair there. You can braid that shit.
like, damn, you're bringing it back. Throwback.
Yeah, rub
Throwback Thursday.
Rub some deodorant on that shit, right? All right, back to this.
I just teach him to keep it in his pants and tell him to stop.
My goodness.
Say it's my fault, 'cause I put icing on top. Now the boys wanna taste of the strawberry shortcake. That's my bad, no one's holding on to grab. Now the boys wanna taste of the strawberry shortcake.
Did they get sick?
Not sure. But yeah, she's really talented. Just thinking about like the vision that she brought to life with this whole world she created, this music video in particular, where she has the swimmers and their choreography is A1. The song is really good. The video has a lot of meaning to it. Just all around, like it was really well thought out and executed. Like she's really good at what she does.
The lyrics really stood out to me in this one. Even with like her talking about how her mother wanted to preach to her about being pure, but all she wanted was attention from these guys. And so by doing that, she wore like short skirts, and that's where the whole thing about, oh, it's your fault, you put icing on the cake, kind of like you lured them in by like seducing them. And so it makes me think about how common that is in young people, right? Like they are seeking attention, but like in inappropriate ways. And it's something that like we see in like TV and movies, like to seduce using our bodies, right? And so I think that's why, young people do it. They mirror what they see on TV. And so, the topic definitely hit home, and it's something that like is gonna be prevalent in every generation, I think.
Yeah, I think you made a great point. Because like even that way of seducing people also invites unwanted attention too, right? And that's why there's like a big argument on how women should be. Like on the one hand, right, they should be able to wear whatever they want, but by doing that, you're also not inviting, but you're also putting yourself in situations that you shouldn't put yourself in, right? Like obviously it's like the situation where someone's purse gets robbed. If you leave your purse on the table and someone steals your purse, that's obviously not your fault. It's the person who stole your purse, but you could have prevented that by just putting the purse down and just putting it to your side, putting it in a place where it was safe, so you don't expose yourself to those situations. Whereas the same thing with a woman that goes into, let's say, a party with a bunch of drunk guys, and she's dressed in a way where she's very promiscuous, or she seems promiscuous and seductive. Obviously, like no one has the right to touch her, but she's still putting herself in a dangerous situation that she could have just avoided altogether.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's like a two-way street, right?
Sure,
like both parties are responsible for the result.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, like she does a great job, like just shedding light on like what women go through. Because you see these guys, right? They're like monsters. They just want to eat the strawberry shortcake, and they're very like
And
primal.
they eat so much to the
Right.
point where they get sick.
They're like rapists, right? It's like just straight animals.
And then